This is my greenhouse diary for July. So it's currently in the middle of summer, so it's the middle of the growing season. I'm going to be sharing with you what has worked, what hasn't, any problems that I've experienced. This is going to be a real, unfiltered, and a diary full of lessons. So let's get into it. I'm going to be sharing with you currently what chores I'm doing. When I say chores, I mean fun jobs. So I try and rotate the things that I need to do to make sure I'm not kind of prioritizing the things I love to do the most, which is what I always seem to do. So there's things such as checking my leaf props, doing some watering, checking my arrangements outside. I need to sow some seeds. The list for this hobby is always endless. So I'm just going to share that with you today and yeah, bring you along for the journey. So I recently collected some hybrid seeds from my Heart's Choice. I've got so many seeds this year from this plant. This one is a Heart's Choice mixed with a Golden Shadow, and I've got a few other seeds that I need to do as well. So what I should have done is this morning I should have cooked the soil, getting ready for it's my lunch break, I call it. So when my little girl goes down, I have like an hour or so to get some bits done. So I should have really thought ahead and planned it and cooked the soil then, but I'm going to do it now and then probably sow the seeds tonight or tomorrow. So I'll show you how I do and prepare my soil. So this is a little bit of reality behind one of my greenhouses. So this is my growing greenhouse. I don't really film in here a lot. I probably just do a little bit of filming at the potting table over there because there's always so much going on in here. The lighting isn't quite as good. It's a little bit darker in here, probably because of all the new shade netting I've had to put up because this summer has been crazy hot. But when I say my growing greenhouse, you'll see why I call it that. So this year I've experimented a little bit with leaf props. I would usually or previously have kind of just laid them in a tray of soil. Maybe all the IDs have got mixed and yeah, they've just not grown very well. So what I thought I'd do this year is put them in these cell trays. And what I've done is put them 3 together so I don't have to ID or label each one. I can put, you know, what they are, as you can see there, ×3, and then once they're bigger I can put them on and label them again if needed. Obviously if they don't survive, then it's not a waste of my time labeling them. It's just so many little things that go into this hobby that you kind of each year is trial and error and you think, no, that didn't work, I'll try it this way. So I might hate this method next year, but so far I've really enjoyed it. I found that you can see that they are growing really nicely. I've actually recently plucked out a lot of the bigger ones. So anything that gets quite big, like this one's getting quite big over here, still got a really big leaf to it. And this one, so they're getting quite big for that actual cell. I have then been potting on and, like I say, excuse the mess, this is the reality of it. Anything that oh my God, I can't speak. Anything that is quite big then gets potted on into its own bigger version of the tray, and I've now started to label things so I now know what they are, because sometimes I'll have pups which root and I just like to keep an eye on what is kind of more successful. So over here are lots of leaf props which have got quite big, and yeah, recently been upgraded to this bigger tray, so that's really good news. It just seems that they are loving it this year in these individual cells, and what I'm doing is watering them every night. So it has been really hot so far, like the last week or so since summer holidays have started. It's kind of dropped down to like 20, I think lows of 13 today. So yeah, it's not the scorching spring and summer that we started off with, but yeah, it's still worth watering them every day. They love water. As you can see, all those pink roots are growing nicely. You don't have to worry too much about putting them back into the soil. They do find it themselves. Yeah, so watering them once a day is doing really, really well for them. So I've got the leaf props up here. I've got more down here. These are all pups. So any head chops I've had, I actually need to spray some water off these. You can see last night I watered them. There's some water sitting in the crown. I'm going to do that right now before I forget. So I've got a little puffer here I can use because these ones aren't fully rooted yet, or not all of them. So I'm just going to use this to get rid of any water because that can cause rotting. These, I don't feel like these are quite as fussy as a mature plant. They can handle a bit more water, but I'd be devastated if I lost one because I was too lazy to blow away some air, some water. Yeah, so that is a tray full of pups. So it just shows how good head chopping is. There's lots of duplicate ones here, so yeah, head chopping is a brilliant method of propagation. But anyway, as always, I'm getting sidetracked. So these are some seeds. So these are all different ones. You can tell which side is more successful there. A beautiful hybrid as well. So these are really old ones, I need to pluck these out. Yeah, basically these are seeds, this is where they sit in the greenhouse, but I'm going to just prepare a pot. So if you've seen some of my other seed videos, you'll know how I do this process, but I'm just going to put a time lapse on of me just preparing some soil. I like to experiment really with different soil types, but at the minute, as you can see, I'm having quite a lot of success with a mixture of sharp sand, John Innes #2, and a little bit of compost as well. So I'm just going to mix those together and prepare a pot. So that's the soil prepared. I don't really need quite as much as this, so I could always separate that out into two, which I think I might do actually. It's a really good idea to always have these prepared, because not that I'll have as many now because it's the end of the season, but I always seem to have some seeds just pop up out of nowhere, which I can then sow. So let's just divide this between this pot as well, because they really do not need that much soil. The roots on these will be teeny tiny. Okay, so perfect, that will do nicely. So I just reuse these pots. These are just some really cheap little containers I got from, I don't know, maybe B&M or somewhere like that, somewhere cheap and cheerful. Just take the labels off from last year. Right, and let's get cooking. I'm just going to cook one of them because I'll cook the other one when I'm ready to sow some more seeds. So to prepare the soil, I just boil my kettle. Sometimes, I used to cook the soil in the microwave beforehand, but I'm finding that it works just as well just to pour boiling hot water over the mixture, the substrate. This will make sure that it is sterile, a really good sterile environment to grow seeds in. Obviously, when it goes in, it'll be boiling hot, it needs to drain through. So I just, I've pricked 2 little holes in the bottom of this, and that allows the water to obviously soak through and come out the bottom. And it probably takes about 4 hours for the soil to then cool down. I want the temperature to be under 25 because seeds germinate, or echeveria seeds, most of them germinate between 18 and 25. There are other ones which are a little bit different, but the ones that I do tend to be or require these kind of temperatures. So I'm just going to boil the kettle, and while I'm doing it, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. So that's the soil all cooked. I've literally just poured the boiling water through it. Obviously you can see there's loads of water in there still, so that will just slowly drain through and mess up my sink. But once it's drained through, obviously it'll just need to cool down, so I'll pop it outside to get some air on there in a little while. But yeah, that'll probably be something I then can sow the seeds tonight, because that will take quite a while to cool down. So while that's doing that, let's get on to the next job. I'm really hoping you can hear me. Every time I film at the minute, there's either a tractor in the field behind me. There's now some men doing some work outside, which I really appreciate because I think they're doing all the grass and landscaping and stuff. But I don't know if you can hear all that noise. I'm really hoping you can't, because last time I did a video you could hear it, but I bought myself a new microphone, noise cancellation, so I really hope it works. Anyway, back in the greenhouse, I've made my tea, we've got the soil cooling. Although I'm back in the greenhouse, I do actually need to go outside because we've had so much rain recently. It's strange, well, it's not strange, just British weather. We have had, previous to the rain, sun constantly for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, it was, the ponds were dry, it was just like a drought. However, we then had so much rain, and I'm talking a lot of rain. So I'm a bit worried about my arrangements. I did bring some of them in because they were just not drying out in between, and succulents cannot sit in, you know, really wet soil for long durations. It's good to get a really good soaking for them, so they really enjoyed it, but they must dry out in between. It was just like constantly rain, rain, rain for about, I don't know, 8 days. And when I say rain, a lot. So the soil was absolutely drenched. So I did bring some of them in. Every time it was dry again, I took them out, and I never normally do that. I don't have to fiddle around with the arrangements throughout the growing season. So yeah, we've had a lot, and I've had 2 which have rotted. One of them is my cream puff, which I just seem it rots every year. I'll end up propagating it from the rotten one, so I'll leaf prop it and I'll get so much success. So it always lives on, but I just can never keep one alive. I don't know what is wrong with it. So that is one of my failures again this year, a cream puff. I think I've got one in here. Don't ask me where, but I thought, right, I'm going to bring it into the greenhouse, or one of them, and I'm going to make it survive. So it's probably somewhere, and it probably has been ignored. and not had any drink. But yeah, I'm really annoyed about that. So that was doing really well. It looked amazing. And then another one is my big Baron Bold. He was a head shot from last year, and it's one of the ones with huge caruncles on it. It was growing really big, and I looked at the arrangement, which was at the bottom of my trellis. I'll just show you actually. So this is my succulent trellis. A bit of a mess at the minute because I have just been grabbing them and moving them around. But it was at the bottom in one of the big troughs. In fact, I think it came out of that one. That's why there's a big gap in there now. But I could just tell the centre of it was really, really pale. So I looked at it and yeah, rot had got into it. So I'll just show you what it looks like at the moment. So over here in my growing greenhouse, I have any head chops. I haven't got as many now because this week I have finally gone through and potted some on. But this is what is left of my Baron Bold. So I always try and save them. So I noticed on this that when you chopped it, the stem was really rotten. So I've left the stem in the pot. I'm not too sure why, that could just come out, but this is what's left. So I've got a bit of healthy-ish stem on those two leaves. This could survive potentially. So what I noticed is, like I say, on one side of it was rotten, so I've chopped all that away. I've been left with this. I'm just going to see, it might then root, but I also pulled off lots of leaves. So they are over here. It's a complete mess in here at the moment. They haven't done anything yet, but oh, that one's died off, so that can go in the bin because that might spread some nastiness elsewhere. Yeah, so that's what's left of that. But like I said, last year I head chopped it, and I've got a little pup growing here of it, and I've got two which are really not looking very good down here. So it may live on with this. And also I think I've got the stem somewhere from last year in here. So these are all my head chops. This is definitely a real-time reality of my greenhouse at the minute. So I did actually take some time last week and rearrange these, because I had some here, I've got some up here, I had them down here, they were over there, they were in the other greenhouse. So I've tried to put them in nice order. So we've got white pots here, smaller, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then some big ones over here. And at the top, these are ones which have got like loads of heads or big heads on them as well. So yeah, I took a little bit of time last week to rearrange them. I've got lots of pups which have come off them, which I have actually, that I potted them up into this tray here. That's kind of where they go originally when they first come off the plant. And yesterday I was able to repot some of them, so these have gone up the next level. So that's what I was up to yesterday. And I finally managed to propagate my neon light. I love my neon light. It's featured in quite a lot of videos recently and a reel. I finally got a little pup from it. I think it was from the head shop, because I can't get it to leaf prop, but I'm so happy I've got that little one. So yes, they are pups which have now reached the next level to go up a size. And then one of my failures, which I'm really gutted about, I actually have started a full YouTube video of the head shop process for this, but this is my variegated Lola. So I chopped her. She started to root. She's gone back into the greenhouse, but this got really burnt. It looks to me like a rotten leaf, but I'm sure it's just been burnt. So you can see here, that's all burnt, and I had 3 pups growing on here, so 3 variegated Lolas. So I had one over here, and I had 2 here, and I think they've just burnt off. So I'm really annoyed. We had, like I said, we had some really, really strong sun for really long durations, and I think it was down here, nearer like this kind of location, but the sun, I think, was coming through the door of the greenhouse, and it just got the full blast of it. So I'm so gutted, because 3 variegated Lolas would have been amazing. So I'm just gonna I've actually put that on my to-do list to film tomorrow. So like I say, I am filming a YouTube video of it, and this is a little bit of a teaser and a little bit of a spoiler that they don't survive, or haven't so far. So hopefully something will happen, but I'm not very hopeful. I'm gonna take it out of the pot tomorrow and have a look to see what's happened. But I did do that and a different one, and the other one is looking good, which is this Rose of Betrayal over here. Here. So yeah, you win some, you lose some, but you always lose the ones you really don't want to lose. However, look at this variegated one, so I can't complain, because there's lots of success in other places. And lesson learned, I must keep an eye on my head chops, especially my variegated ones, because they are a lot more sensitive to the sun. But as usual, I'm distracted. Let's go and have a look at the outside arrangements. So I do have arrangements kind of everywhere in the garden. This is the first kind of section. This is kind of my experiment ones, I'd say. So I've got these ones which are like common ghosts, alpenglows and Dahlia sunshines. And I thought even though they're common, they are beautiful. They have such nice colours. So I've just done some cuttings from my big arrangement and put them in here, and hopefully they're going to root nicely, or actually have started to. These plants, like, they are cheap and cheerful. I sell them in most of my sales like every week. They go for £2.50, £3, so they are, yeah, really cheap, but they are so hardy and so strong. They just grow so well. So if you're looking for something, you know, like this, then try a Ghost Alpenglow or a Dahlia Sunshine. They are just hardy little things and beautiful as well. This one is an arrangement which I have left outside, and it's actually doing quite well. We've got another ghost in here. This is a head chop of my heart's delight, but it's looking good. It doesn't look like there's any rotters in here, so I'm just looking for anything that's possibly rotting. These are some new pots. These plants were so thirsty. I did have a look the other day, and this doesn't look very good, so it's just a little part of one of the plants in here, which is this one. So that's a failure. He needs to be put in the bin. And then these ones look quite good. These tiny ones are still tiny. These are some pups which are starting to root, but they just keep coming out of the soil because the roots on that one's not very good. But these other ones are starting to root, so that's good. So that's kind of me trusting the elements. It's just been left outside. Got some Mendozas, which are little cuttings. I've also done a reel on that. A beautiful cubic frost that just loves being out here. Produces pups all the time. And this is a tray of kind of thirsty ones which don't mind if they have loads of water and loads of sun. So yeah, that's them ones. They're fine. Over here I've got another arrangement. This is really enjoying all the rain, but I did cover it the other day with just a sheet when it was raining again because it just wasn't drying out. But when succulents have water, they go very green, so this arrangement is going rather green. But I can't see any casualties in here, so that's looking happy. And I'm just going to keep an eye on the weather, so if it rains again, I think I'll just cover it up because I don't want any more water in there for a while. They are nice and plump and do not need any more. This one I do not touch. I leave it out from March to October, November, and I'll take cuttings from it, but I do not move it. I just leave it here. It doesn't matter what happens to this beast because it just loves it. It just loves all the rain, loves all the sun. There's obviously a lot in there. There's a lot of roots and not a huge amount of soil, so it's not fussy at all. And then I just go around and check all these ones to make sure there's no rotters in there. So I'm just going to do that now, and yeah, I'll put you on a time lapse. So these are some of my arrangements outside. This one is absolutely glowing. It's loving it at the minute. It has finally dried out, and I just want to make sure I bring that one in if it does rain anymore. Same with this one on the left here and the one next to that. This has actually got a lot of substrate in it compared to the amount of succulents, so that one makes me a bit cautious, but I am probably going to start adding in some different bits to some of my arrangements outside. I really like Kath Sucks, all her arrangements. Obviously they are stunning, but I looked recently at some of her pots and things, and she puts a lot of sedums in hers, so she's inspired me to buy some sedums. So that's what I've done. I have no idea about sedums. They're just I don't know nothing, so it's going to be a bit of trial and error, but I'm going to do that on one of my next videos and just maybe rearrange this or something like this. So this has been in the pot for quite some time. None of them are really growing. They are quite plump. They're doing all right, but they don't look that great. These ones are pups from a head chop, so they can come off. So I think I might just redo something like this and then add bits of sedum in there and add some new different ones as well. So yeah, every time I go out here to check different things, I then have more things added to my list of tasks to do, but that's the hobby. We've got some over here which are doing really well. These elegans look really good. They're all drying out nicely, so I'm happy with these. There's some leaf props. They are some head chops actually, which are looking really good. This was one Akosi, and now you can see how many different pups have formed. So I thought this was a bit of a trial this year, just to have them outside and see how they get on. But as you can see, it's doing really well. And then that one over there is a rainbow, which is a variegated pearl. So that one looks variegated. That one not so much. but I'm really happy with that. So we've got some little pups and some more over here, and then this Titibans was a head shop as well. So yeah, all sorts of different variegated head shops in there, which is really interesting. This one was really thirsty, so that's had lots of rain that can go in now. It's plumped up and looks really good. We've also got these trough arrangements up here, but they never really get too much water. Obviously they get lots of rain when it does rain, but the soil in here is minimal. It's really shallow, so really they're not ever gonna suffer too much with anything like overwatering. They are very burnt, some of these, or that old flowers and stuff which need to come off. I really pray you can hear me over this noise. This is one of my Comptons, which I'm trialling out here. Very thirsty, but he can stay thirsty at the minute. Sakura drop is beautiful. I've just got lots of different ones in here, and the colours are amazing. So we'd just like to check over these really, and just see what they look like. And some of these blooms can come off now. They're all dying off, so just give them a gentle tug, and they can come off, I say. God. There we go. Yeah, so it's just kind of a health check on the arrangements outside. So just checking my arrangements, and this one's just caught my eye because this leaf has come out of the bottom of this one. So it just worries me when they're this colour that maybe there's some rot in there. So I'm just going to keep an eye. It doesn't look like there's anything to be worried about. So anything on the outside, you get all sorts of bits and bobs on them. But yeah, I just want to have a little look in here. Maybe take some leaves off as well, because it's always good to prop your succulents if it has rained a lot. So that's something I always try and do. If I water my succulents, I will try and take leaves off, or if it rains a lot, I'll try and take leaves off as well, because you never know which one you could lose. Sometimes they just give up life, sometimes, yeah, just it's good to have backups, isn't it? So just take some leaves off, but it looks fine. This stem doesn't have any black on there. Obviously you could take the whole thing out and have a really good look, but I don't think that's necessary. Yeah, I've just taken 4 nice healthy leaves off there to propagate that one. That was a head shot from last year actually, looking really nice. And then I will just do some kind of health check on these ones. So this is the cream puff I was talking about. As you can see, there's some leaves I've laid in here because I thought, do you know what, the leaves will probably propagate, because they are really good at that. I've got about 20 plus in my greenhouse propagation trays, which are doing really well, from one which died last year. Like I said, I just don't have a lot of luck with keeping them alive for a long time. They grow really big and then they just give up and chuck the leaves off. A bit like I have the same thing with a Q Marble and a Milky Way. I don't know why those ones don't seem to like me. And then I'll just go through and just take off any old blooms which have died off. But this one is actually doing really well. I really like this one, and the soil's all drying out nicely. There's lots of grit in here, so that one's fine. And then this one over here is also doing really well. Everything's plumped up nicely. A little bit worried about maybe losing the variegation on this butterfly dot. It's got some really good variegation underneath, but not so much on top. So quite tempted to maybe chop that one. I don't like chopping thin leaf plants, it just makes me nervous, but it's really plump actually, so it would be a good time to do so. I might take that off the arrangement, might make a reel on that separately. Yeah, and just take it out completely, put it in a pot so I can get to it a little bit easier, because at the minute I've just got one little bloom. At the minute it's yeah, a little bit crushed in there, and to be honest, I could then maybe move up this Atlantis and give this one a little bit of room in here. But the thing that caught my eye is this beautiful Laurensis here, which I love. I was hoping I might have some seeds from this one, so I think when I take the blooms off, I will just check to make sure there's no seeds. Like this one looks quite chunky, but I'm not sure. But anyway, what caught my eye is, obviously it looks really nice and big, but underneath there are so many pups growing. So there's 2 there. There's a huge one here, another one behind it there, and basically there are pups all around the stem. So I might just remove a couple of those because they are massive, and they can obviously then become plants of their own. So yeah, sometimes they just surprise you with these was going to say small pups, but there's nothing small about that. That is ginormous. So I'm just going to kind of remove it gently with my hand, or do I need a knife? Let's see where it's attached. Because sometimes I find they are better if you just gently kind of prise them off. Oh, there you go. Because they do sometimes create their own root system. So that is a really decent sized pup. That's crazy. Yeah, that it's just created underneath, and obviously now it's going to have a little bit of room for all the other ones, so I'm tempted to take this one off as well because it's huge. So yeah, that one's got a little bit squashed, so I'll probably appreciate being able to stretch its wings. Am I greedy and do I take another one? No, that one's not quite as big over there, but then that'll have some room now to obviously grow a little bit better. So yeah, we've got some leaf props and some pretty sizable pups from these arrangements. You can see a big gap at the back here as well, so I might just yeah, have a play about with this one. The thing is, you come out here to do one job and then you find however many more, but it's all good fun. So another task I'm doing at the minute is trying to take a photo of every succulent in my collection. So what I have done is completed that for everything that is on these shelves. I really hope I haven't missed anything. I tried to stick to quite a rigid structure so I could make sure I'm not missing any. Yeah, so I've taken photos of them. I've now put them into an album on my phone, and then what I want to do is upload all of the names onto a spreadsheet so I can see how many I've got, if I've got duplicates of any of which are my favourites, so I can then mark them and then make sure they are kind of a priority to propagate. And yeah, just see what I've got, see how many I've got, and just keep a note. And if something dies off, I can then make a list that that's what I've had. Do I want to replace it? Is it one that I want again? Yeah, just keep it for my own benefit, really, for the hobby and the collection. So what that means is anything that comes back into this greenhouse, so if I've grown something in the other greenhouse, for example, I showed you the arrangement outside, which was head chops of the variegated ones, they have, or the heads from them have now started to root. So I've got 2 acosies which are coming back in here. So what I'm doing is just leaving them on my potting table to remember to take pictures of them before they go back onto the shelf. So that's another thing I need to do today. I've got quite a lot sitting over here, so I'm just going to take some pictures of them and then find a home for them. So that's next on the list. So these are the ones which I need to photo. This is one I got from a garden centre recently. I just loved it. I just thought it was really unusual, something I haven't really seen before. This is one of the smaller acosies. This is the larger one. This is another one I got from the greenhouse as well. The garden centre as well. These are some head chops, so they're now re-rooting. Same with these ones and these ones. This is a variegated lovely rose. It's been outside an arrangement, but I just wanted to bring it in and make sure I had one which was happy and healthy in the greenhouse. So that's now going to be photographed, and I don't have to put a non-variegated form in there as well. So I've got one of each in the same pot. And this is something I grew from seed, and it's been in my sale section and no one has bought. And I think actually, I don't think I have one in my collection. So that's now coming in here, and it's going to be repotted into a nice white pot. So that's what I'm going to do now. And there we go, all repotted into the nice white pots, which my collection are staying in now. Next up on the jobs to do today is to check any leaf props. So like I said, take a lot of leaves off succulents as soon as I've watered them. And what I do is then put them into a pot a little bit like this. Just be careful not to knock them about. And then when they start to pup, like these ones have, I'll then repot them into one of the cell trays that I showed you earlier. So I haven't checked these for a couple of weeks in here. I did that greenhouse earlier this week, and there was loads which needed to be potted on, and quite a few which needed to be binned. So I found a really good way of doing it. It's just you don't waste as much space then, because you're only potting on the successes, and then anything else is just kind of sitting here and doing its thing and hopefully going to do something. But yeah, there's loads in here, so I'm just going to go through, grab any successes, put them on the tray, and then take them to the other greenhouse so I can then put them on into the individual cell trays. Yeah, like I say, it's working really well. They seem to be growing really quickly. So that's the next job to do. There's two jobs I really do not enjoy as much as others. One of them is repotting and one of them is sorting my leaf props. So I know it's worthwhile, and the amount of leaf props I have is my own fault. But yeah, I just find it really tedious. It's quite a long process. It takes quite a long time to get the trays ready, go through and sort what needs to be potted on. So for example, this is just one of my pots, and there's quite a few in here which are either pupping. So I've got some topsy-turvies there. This corner is actually one that was rotting. This is a group of leaves which looks like it's kind of part of the head. They're now rooting, and we've got lots of success over here. So although the stem rotted, there's a lot of life still left in the plant. So that is a really strange one to know how on earth to do them. So that's a bit fiddly. And then this one, oh, we've got Prolificus. They must be Prolifica leaves. I have an arrangement outside with some in, and they are looking really good. So they've all propagated. And then over here we've got some, oh, a Korean Polydonis. I've got some roots on that one, a little pup on that one. So yeah, I just need to work through them, and like I say, that's just one of the pots. I've brought through 6 to go through, but there's like probably another 6 in the other greenhouse. That's another one with a few in. I do use a mixture of smaller pots and bigger ones, and this is like really worthwhile me doing, so I'm not complaining. It's just not the quickest. Oh, this is Fly in the Skies. This is one of my favourite succulents, really, which I've wanted for a long time and finally got, and it's now starting to do really well. It was in an arrangement outside, but it was kind of suffering under all the sun we've been having. But now I've moved it into my greenhouse, watered it, and it's really plumped up. So I've propagated it, and all of those pups are now looking really big. And really, they're only probably a couple of weeks old. I should probably add dates onto these, but that's just give myself even more work. So yeah, I'm just going to pop some music on now in the greenhouse. The sun's out. I've moved into the old greenhouse because, like I said, the sun is out, so it's really hot in the other one. That gets a lot more direct sun right in the door where I repot things on my potting table. So this one's quite good because I bought this. This table is actually from Temu. It's £12, and it's adjustable in height because I find sometimes if you like bending over that one quite a lot, it does look the same height, but that is lower. It just makes my neck and back ache. So I've bought this, which is adjustable, and it's quite handy. It's on wheels, so I can, if it's really hot, I can stand in the garden and do it, and maybe put the umbrella up or whatever. But yeah, £12. So I thought it was a no-brainer to have an extra area to put things. But the only thing is, it's always cluttered because I just kind of leave things on here and abandon them. But yeah, I'm just gonna put some music on and start potting up some little leaf props into this tray. So you may be able to understand now why that isn't my favourite job. It's just very time consuming, a bit fiddly. It's 100% worth doing. It's a great way of growing succulents for free. My main kind of focus is to make sure I have a backup of my own succulent, and then if there are spares, that's when I can sell them on my Facebook sales. And I'm now trying to start making a website as well, so I'll keep you updated with that if that goes ahead. It's another thing on my list that I'm trying to do. And hopefully will be successful. I did one before and it was really expensive to run. I only had like 1 sale, so it's just one of those things I'm going to try. So I'm finding at the minute what works for me is kind of trying to have a schedule throughout my week. So if I am here for the full week when my little girl is having a nap, like I say, I have about an hour to an hour and a half to get things done. So on a Monday, because I have my sale on the Sunday, Monday is kind of my packaging day, get everything set out as soon as possible. So if someone orders something on the Sunday, it is always dispatched the next day as much as possible. Obviously, if I've got plans or something, that's not always possible. So Monday's kind of my packaging day. Tuesday is other jobs, like it's Tuesday today, so any head shops that need to be checked to see if they've rooted, do they need to be potted on, do we have any leaf props like I've been doing now that just need to be potted on. Do I need to water any of my stems from my head shops, which are growing pups? Because they really do change a lot if you water them. Obviously it just plumps up the pups, makes them grow a lot quicker. So that was a bit of a task last week, which I did. I find that's something that I do probably every 3 weeks. So yeah, Tuesdays just kind of odd jobs depending on what is going on. Like I've got an arrangement outside which broke over the weekend. It's in quite a nice owl arrangement, but the middle pot, I think it's an orchid pot I used to sit in the middle, and the sun has obviously just deteriorated it. So yeah, that's all cracked. So that's another thing on my list to do. I try and write things down because I get quite not overwhelmed, but there's a lot to do in the greenhouses when you've got so many little jobs, and they do take a lot of time as well. Wednesday I then start prepping for my sale for the following week, so I will have a look. I've got kind of 3 or 4 different sections, which I will show you in a minute actually, which I rotate and then obviously add to each week depending on what sells. So I'll check them over on a Wednesday, see if I'm happy that they are staying in the sale section, like have they got burnt, anything like that, just checking the health of them to make sure I'm happy with them. Do they need watering? Because that'd be good if they plumped up nicely for the sale to make them look, you know, as good as possible. So that's kind of my Wednesday job. And then Thursday will be taking photos of those succulents to make sure they are looking the best. And I'll advertise for my sale on the Thursday. So filming videos, editing videos, brainstorming ideas for reels, any Facebook posts, any Instagram, TikTok, any social media stuff I try and get done on Thursday as well. Editing does take me quite a long time. Really good for my mind and my soul, I find. Yeah, just having that break and coming in here and doing something for me and filming it and documenting it and hopefully helping someone else out with their hobby as well. And then on a Friday, again, it's just depending on what other jobs come up. So watering the succulents, taking the pictures, leaf propping again, just everything and anything you can think of is just being done throughout the week. So I try and have a little structure I stick by, just so I don't come in here and, what is the word? It's not procrastinate, because that's when you don't do something. It's procrastivity, I think I heard recently, where you go to do something, you're busy doing things and you're acting, but you're maybe not doing the first thing that you came in to do. That's me every single day. So I try and write a list now and plan ahead for future days, but that really helps me. And maybe you can use that in your own hobbies and greenhouses and things. So yeah, that is what I'm doing now. So I'll just show you the sale bits, and we'll just cast an eye over them. Obviously some of them have been sold and sent out, so some gaps about, but yeah, I'll just show you the succulents for sale are always on the top shelf, getting the best lighting. Yeah, so like I said, I have different sections. So this section over here is what I sell on, say, week 1, and then there's week 2 and week 3. So they are absolutely beautiful, and I do just check them over, like I say, to make sure they see if they're thirsty. So what ones have been sold? So this was the sale this week. So we now go back to this one and rotate them again. So we've got some absolute beauties in here. We've got some agavoids, we've got some different Korean ones, we've got a variegated one there, quite a lot of different ones. So I'm just going to go through them and check them over and see if they need any water, just see if everything looks okay. And I'll probably just try and ignore these other beauties as well, but there's some beautiful ones in this sale for next Sunday as well. The Ionium at the back there is beautiful. There's a Pollock, some Orions, some Agavoids, Koala, a Muesli, some Debbies, so many different ones, a Blue Trumpet, just so many beauties. I love that Blue Trumpet, it's so pretty. Yeah, so as you can see, lots of beautiful ones in the sale. So I'm just going to go through and check to see if they want any water. I think most of them look quite good, but there's a few that need some water. And I then just make sure I am happy with them and how they look once they've been watered. So that's a job I'll then do tomorrow, just to kind of do a quality check on them as well. And then obviously selfishly, my collection is one that should be top priority but isn't always. They are absolutely glowing in the sunlight now, so I'm just going to show you my collection at the minute. A few things that I've probably learned recently. I have hopefully you've seen the videos if they are live already. Please subscribe if you do enjoy my videos as well. I really appreciate it. But what I've learned with, when I did my recent greenhouse rearrange, which I am on nearly finished now anyway, I then watered my succulents after I'd rearranged them. So I'd obviously set them all up, they were all looking good, there was lots of space. I watered them, then put them back a few days later because I've been keeping them outside because it was too hot to have them in here, because I found that the soil was getting really humid and that is not good condition for the succulents to stay in. But when I put them back, obviously they were plumped up and they're a lot bigger, so there's not as much room. And also, to do with stress levels and things, they've also gone really green. So when succulents are getting all the nutrients and the water they need, they are quite a standard, well, standard-ish green colour. So they kind of all plumped up, went really big, and also went very green. So yeah, that's something that I really should do, is water them and then rearrange them, because then I can actually get the spacing correct, because now they look a little bit overcrowded, but it's not the worst thing ever. It's just yeah, a little note for future. But yes, I'm just going to cast my eyes over now, make sure they look okay. Any signs of rot, which they shouldn't be because I haven't really watered many of them. The ones I've watered are down that end. That was my hand. This section needs a bit of a water soon, so I'm probably going to, actually I could do that now, take some out and put them on a tray and get that done tonight when it's a little bit cooler. So yeah, well, actually we'll do that next. My mind. So this is what I mean. If you've seen my video where I rearranged, I think it's part 3, they definitely did not look as plump and as green as this. They probably looked a little bit more stressed, and pinks and purples and different colours. But yeah, it's just like a forest of succulents now, whereas before there was some kind of spacing in between the actual plants, obviously not the pots, but they're all touching, and yeah, just so plump. But these ones over here are all having a nice little sunbathe at the minute. The colours are beautiful. So yeah, I just like to go check over them, really make sure they're okay. A lot of them haven't had water for probably well over a month now. Down this end, I'm trying to do them in sections so I can then kind of keep an eye on them. Like down that end are now my ones which get thirsty quite quickly. My variegated ones I do treat quite meanly because I don't want them to die. And then over here, again, these are all quite plump as well. But yeah, these ones are quite well watered. It's just this shelf I need to concentrate on next. I've got a lot of newbies over here, and yeah, just some which haven't had water for well over a month, maybe 6 weeks or so now. So I'm just going to go through and choose some, put them on a tray, and then tonight I can just give them a good drench. I have just done a video recently of the drench and dry method which I'm using, which is working really well. So check that out if you are interested. And then this shelf as well will probably need a little bit of water soon. So yeah, it's just kind of keeping an eye on my collection as well, see if there's any pests, any problems, any burns. Right, let's choose some succulents now. So that's it for July. Obviously there are lots of jobs always ongoing in the greenhouses, but next month I can show you an update of the leaf props, the seedlings. I'm hoping to repot a lot of the bigger seedlings now into a next size up tray. I do not know where I'm going to have space to put all these things. That's the only thing, but I'm not complaining. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed a kind of an overview of the succulents. Obviously they're looking very green at the minute because I've watered quite a lot of them. I have placed quite a few down here to be watered tonight. So it's kind of just an ongoing kind of rotation of the different jobs that I'm doing at the minute, and I absolutely love it. I really feel like summer is the best time for succulents. Spring is a really good time as well because they all wake up, but summer is just, you know, we've had some good growth, we kind of know where we are with the schedule, we're kind of getting used to the weather a little bit now, and yeah, I just absolutely love it. So we'll see what August brings. What will the weather be like in the UK in August? Who knows? But hopefully we'll have a little bit of an update on the Lola. I'm hoping for something positive to come from it. I really don't want to just have to bin that stem, that would be such a shame, but she does live on, she's here, she's rerouting, so sometimes you do have to take a risk to, you know, duplicate your favourite succulents. I just wish it wouldn't have been that one that got burnt, but that's life. Anyway, if you've got any questions, any comments, or anything at all you'd like to discuss, please do so in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video and would like to see the next one in August, please do subscribe. It means absolute well to me, and it really, really does help my channel. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.